everybody, welcome to Busy Garden Life. My name is Sarah and I am out here in the garden. Again, it's a cool fall morning, but it's supposed to be beautiful today. So I thought, what a perfect time to get out and do more fall cleanup and get things ready for the spring. And so I've already done the video showing you what I do to take care of the strawberries. I've gotten those done. I planted the rhubarb and garlic for next year. Now rhubarb grows back every year, but I just got it this year. So I did plant some of that, and then I got my garlic in the ground. It's all nice and covered and safe for next year. But this year, I am going to try something new. I'm completely experimenting with this. I haven't researched it at all, whether or not it'll work or not. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant some of my cold tolerant seeds right now and see if they just pop up in the spring. It's a risk, I know, but I figured I'm going to cover them with either the chicken shavings or some leaves or something to kind of protect them. We'll bury them a little bit in the ground too, but I'm going to try and do my carrots, onions, celery, beets, and I was going to do one more and I can't remember. Oh, Brussels sprouts. So I'm going to try and get all of those in the ground, but first I'm going to prep the area. I am also going to kind of change up the garden a little bit. I have it planned out and I have had it this way the last 2 years and I like it. However, my root vegetables don't seem to grow very well over where they're at. I think part of it is the soil. It's not worked as well as it is on the other side because I've always been just paying so much attention to my tomatoes. I tend to take care of that area much more. The dog just got shocked by the electric fence. I tend to take care of that area a lot more, and this year I did maintain the other side a little bit better. However, the soil is just so hard, it's not workable. So my carrots don't pull up very easy. Nothing seems to actually grow very well because the ground's so hard. So I thought, well, if I move it to the other side where it's a little bit more soft, there's sun pretty much everywhere now, where before I was worried about like the tomatoes shading, helping to shade the other side, but the side tends to just get as much sun. So I am going to actually switch them around. I'm going to try and put my root vegetables where the tomatoes were and then put the tomatoes over there by the garlic pepper, and just kind of do different things with the flowers too. Instead of putting different rows in, I'm going to try and just see if I can put them along the fence. So to start today, for those of you wondering, I'm in Michigan. We are Zone B. So it takes a lot longer, it seems like, for my vegetables to grow. So this is one of the reasons why I want to start doing the cold tolerant plants now and see if it works. I'm just going to do one row and then I'm going to save seeds so that if nothing pops up, I can still plant that row and maybe even another little row next to it to get the yield I want. But it took so long that I didn't get anything until the end of the year. And typically you should be able to get a nice spring and then fall crop of these plants. And that's what I would like to try to do, right? So first things first, I need to clean up this tomato area, weed it, put everything away. It's actually not too bad because I've always taken care of it. And just kind of get to work this morning. Well, it has been a productive day so far. I have cleared all of the tomato areas out, and I have also grabbed a few seeds from a lot of the flower plants, my borage, marigolds, calendula, and I think the nasturtium. I have to see if they will dry out and what I do with them. But I grabbed seeds so that I can use them to plant more flowers next year. So take a look at what the area looks like now. Look at that, all cleared out. So over here, by these pots, I have some stakes already, kind of my snow sticks. Those are my row markers. They work perfectly. So I have those kind of lined out. They're not perfect yet. I don't really know if that's exactly where I'm going to put all the rows, but kind of just lined a little bit up. I need to actually go inside and plan and look at like a companion planting chart to make sure that I'm planting things how I should and where I should. Especially because I have the bean trellis and zucchini and cucumber trellis over there. I want to make sure whatever I plant near it is going to be a companion plant, or it's not going to be at least a faux of it. So, and then I think, like I said, I'm going to try to get all the root vegetables over here. I'm still nervous about doing that, and I'm still nervous about trying to start it in the fall, but we'll see. Worst case, I have to start transplanting a few things in order to get them to grow a little bit more, but I think it will be okay. So, I don't know. But anyway, I am done with the tomato area. Let's head inside because I want to show you these seeds that I pulled, and you can see the seeds that I'm going to save for next year. And then after I get done planting the rows out, I'm going to plant everything. We're going to kind of cover them with more of the shavings and kind of complete this part of our fall cleanup. Let's go inside. All right, so we are back inside, and I want to show you some of the seeds I grabbed so that I can save for next year, and kind of what they would look like before. Now, if you've never planted the seeds, you won't necessarily know what to look for while you're trying to save seeds, right? So I planted all these plants from seeds, so I kind of remember what they look like while planting them. So if you want to save them, I had gotten these little bags from M.I. Gardener where I got the seeds from in the first place, and they had given us free heirloom, not free, I paid for it I'm sure, but heirloom seed bags that you can save your own. So I have 2 of those, and then I just have a few like sealable Mylar bags. You could use an envelope to seal it in, just anything to kind of seal it, and then you're going to put it into like just a dark, cool place so that it saves throughout the winter. But let me start. I have a ton of calendula here. So let me start with the calendula. The calendula here is, let me see if I can bring this really close. Okay, so the calendula seeds, you can see this is a full, it was a flower, all right, and it is pretty much gone, completely dried out, which is what you want. And this here, I don't want to get too close, is a seed. All right, so each one of these actually is a seed. So you'll have some smaller ones and some larger ones. My hands are filthy, I know. Can you see that one? So you can get quite a few seeds just out of one flower. Ooh, they're getting all over the place. So I'm gonna just kind of gently take this apart here. And you can see, look at how many I've gotten out of just that one flower, and each one will create a separate plant. So there you go. So they almost look like little bugs that are kind of just rolled up, if you ask me. Some of them do, I should say, not all of them. So that's the calendula. Those are great companion plants for a lot of plants. It's great for beans, zucchini, cucumbers, I believe even like your tomatoes it's great for. It helps to attract pollinators, and it will deter some aphids because the aphids will tend to go towards them as opposed to your plants. So They're great. I brought in a one that hasn't been dried out, so you can see this is what the flower was, and then if I take the petals away, you can see the green on the outside. That is what they look like before they dry out. But you have to wait for them to dry out completely, or you can dry them out inside and get your seeds. All right, on to borage. I got a few borage ones in here. These are small black seeds. I kind of just grabbed a few of them. So this is your borage. Small black seeds. Now, this is what a borage flower looks like. Or I guess a done flower. I try to see, where is it at? This one here. So this one was done, and inside there you can see where you can get a couple of them. Some of them had one, some of them had a couple, so some of them might have just fallen off completely. So you just kind of take them out, and there they are. I do have one in here. Oh, this is another one. You can see, hopefully you can see it. I have one that they're still green, so you can see that the seeds inside are still very green. Those ones we're gonna try to dry them out inside, and then we'll keep them on the stem, let them dry out, and then we can put them in our package. That is the borage. Marigolds are the easiest one, right? So this is just a dead marigold. I kind of just pulled it, and then this is what your seed looks like. Those long skinny ones. This is what it looks like after it's died out. And really, you just have to, oh, there we go. Open up that stem, and there you have it. I grabbed a nasturtium. I don't really even know about a nasturtium. Now, this is kind of what the seeds look like, but none of them were dried out at all on the plant. So I grabbed a few of the green ones to see if I can just let them dry out inside and see if they'll turn. I believe each one of these little nubs will become a seed, because they are just small, round, little ball-looking seeds. So I'm gonna try and do those as well and let them dry out. But that's the nasturtium. And those are the 4 plants the flowers that I love in my garden. And so I bought them $2 for a packet of seeds, and now I'm hoping that every year I can just use my own seeds, and it was a great investment of the first $2 spent, right? So now just year after year I can save a few seeds. You can see that it doesn't take very many flowers to get a ton of seeds. So you just have to grab a few of them and hope to grow like a couple plants if you want to keep doing that. So I'm going to package them up and save them for the spring. And these plants I highly recommend in your garden. The calendula, borage. Borage is great with your tomatoes and your strawberries. Again, that deters the aphids, which is wonderful. You have the marigolds. A lot of these are great flowering plants that are just great for your pollinators to come in, all those bees to pollinate, and then actually get quite a bit of fruit. So that's it for the seeds. So I grabbed those. Next, I'm not going to plant the stuff until my cold tolerant seeds until next weekend, because it is supposed to be up in the 70s this week. Again, I don't know. And I don't want any chance of them germinating at all. Not that they would in a couple days, but you never know. So I'm going to actually wait until next weekend. That way I can just kind of rototill the ground and put them in there. And then it's also cleaning the chicken coop weekend, so we can put the shavings right on top. So I will see you next weekend to plant the seeds, and we will wrap up this fall harvesting here. We will wrap up this fall cleanup. All right, as promised, this weekend I am back out here getting ready to try and plant some seeds for the spring. I've never done this. I actually haven't even researched whether or not it's feasible or not, but I'm planting some of the cold weather tolerant seeds. Carrots, beets, onions, celery, and Brussels sprouts today. I'm hoping that if I do it now, that in the spring they'll pop up when the weather starts to turn, and I will get a better harvest, because I did not get a great harvest this year. My carrots were wonky, my beets were small. Some of them turned out okay, but I didn't get as many as I wanted. So I thought, well, why not just try and see about planting them now? So let's get to planting these. I'm also planting them where my tomatoes were this year. So I'm trying to rotate them, thinking that this side of the garden does have more loose soil because I've worked so much with the tomatoes, getting the weeds and kind of working the soil. So I'm hoping that maybe the softer soil as well will help to the root vegetables to grow a little bit better. And then I'm going to put the tomatoes on the other side, and hopefully that'll actually help work that soil and get it a little bit softer. So we're trying new things this year for next year. So let's get started. I'm just going to kind of go in a little row and plant the seeds, kind of dig some area up, plant the seeds, and then I'm going to grab some leaves from the orchard. I'm going to kind of leaf blow them, or blow them with a leaf blower in a pile, and just start bringing them over and covering them. So then that way they're a little bit protected from the elements. And then in the spring, that mulch will kind of just provide some nutrients for the soil as well. So let's get going on this project. So I've got it all planted. I ended up just using the wood chips from the chickens that we had laying around because I had plenty all around. So I just kind of made some rows with that. If you are going to try this, make sure that you remember what row each is in, or you can just wait until to see what they pop up in the spring if they pop up. But I'm gonna kind of label it on my little chart that I have, my garden layout, so that I remember in the spring what I planted where. And don't use all of your seeds. Now, the nice things about these plants that we are planting right now is most packets have at least 100 or more seeds. So to use them all right now, you'd be going through a lot. So unless you're using some from the end of the season that you had left over, I would recommend making sure that you have some seeds left over. So if they do not come up, we can still plant some in the spring and hopefully get at least a little bit of harvest. But hopefully we'll get a decent harvest with this, and then if I can, I might plant some more in the spring too, so that I can get double of what we have. So but that is it. We are going to wait and see what happens. Make sure that you like the video, subscribe to the page, so that you can get the update in the spring whether or not this method works, these plants actually come up, or if they don't, then we know for next year that it's not something worth spending time doing. But let me know if you've done this before and if it has worked for you or not as well. So I'm curious to know what everybody else out there is doing for something like this. All right, so stay tuned. I will see you in the spring for this, and then otherwise make sure that you're getting the updates for all of the other things that we're doing on the homestead and our meal prepping and planning that we're going to be starting soon. We'll see you soon.